welcome to the Oldschool Demo Compo Studio. And we have here 3 foreign guests because Visu, of course, lives in London these days as well. My name is Christopher Setok Lawson, and I'm an old Atari demo scener, so of course this compo sucked.
Yeah.
Do you want to introduce yourself just first?
Oh yes, that would be a good idea. I'm sort of guest man of We Program. I'm leading light, I suppose, in the Spectrum scene, and along with doing bits and pieces on sort of any platforms I can lay my hands on, Raspberry Pi, JavaScript. But yeah, the Spectrum's where my real heart is. Yeah, it's not quite up to the level we've known from previous assemblies, really. It's and seems to be sort of quite a few entries there to promote other parties and other things. I wonder if in 10 years' time, then demos will just exist to promote the next party, and then.
Yeah, just to clarify, for me this sucked because it had no Atari entries and there were so many Amiga entries. Visi, go ahead.
Yes, platform zealots are back on the scene, and it's good to have them.
So tell us a bit about who you are, why you're here.
Yes, I'm Visu of Trilobit and Billatrip and PWP and some other groups, but those would be the ones mentioning now to keep the label size small enough for the screen. But definitely an interesting compo. There were a lot of Amiga productions, even an advertisement that we made, and surprisingly a lot of invitations. I noticed that as well. Strangely, I think tightening the rules to the old school demo combo this year has resulted in less experimental platforms as well. So they kind of went with the strict truth of having just the one sort of scene platforms or whatever with the old school rules. But I think it might not work as well as they planned. I think there could have been more quality productions. They were quite weak, I think.
Let's discuss that in a bit. That's an interesting topic. Frankie, tell us a bit about yourself.
All right, so I'm Frankie of the Royal Belgian Beer Squadron, Accession and Smash Designs. I'm the Belgian they let into the hall next to 7, but I had a special permit. And for me, the competition ruled because Atari is dead, and it should remain dead. And even at Outline, an Atari party, they run Atari stuff in an emulator, and the best Atari demo ever was a translation of an Amiga demo. So this compo ruled.
It is ruled. It's true.
That was nasty. That hurt. But I understand because I understand that. I mean, actually, one of the things with the Atari scene back in the old days was the fact that they converted the old Amiga demos because the hardware was so much limited. But
yet similar.
Yeah.
Similar. But I mean, but still, the Falcon was the best demo platform ever. But let's talk about this.
Yes. We can agree on that. Absolutely.
Let's talk about this.
It's official now. Falcon is the best platform.
Okay, we have 2 people supporting that. Idea. Excellent.
Yes.
I'm going to make a strong statement. I think the old school demo compo is not going to appear at Assembly in future years. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think. Well, I guess part of the sort of excuses we can make for the old school scene is that they kind of have their own parties in for the C64X in the Netherlands. I don't know, but it's not my
in Netherlands.
Didn't make any geographical errors there. And as far as the Spectrum goes, I think it's really big in Russia there. So I think there'll be sort of lots of good stuff happening at Chaos Constructions next weekend in St. Petersburg. So I think, it's maybe Assembly has, it's become established as the PC place to go, and I think everywhere else has found their niche, maybe.
So is the Spectrum scene, is that still very much alive in Russia? I haven't visited there for a while.
Yeah, I think it's as far as what people grew up with, then the Spectrum was really their equivalent of the Commodore 64 in the Western Europe, and I say there's a bit of activity in in the UK and Poland, Czech Republic as well. But yeah, it's interestingly, it's like the reason it was so big is that because the Spectrum hardware is just so, there's hardly any custom chips, so it's actually really easy to be cloned. So the designs for it found their way across the Iron Curtain, and then people have built their own versions of it. So yeah, it really does have a big influence there.
Visu, you had an entry in this competition. Yes. We promised you that we would analyze it in great detail. So this was the first entry.
Okay.
Tell us a bit about the amazing stuff that went into it.
It was something done as a compo filler because Bright Light and Joppe said that there won't be enough entries in the compo. So I was working at the Scrolly stand, which is a Finnish computer culture magazine that some people on the internet put together. There's a lot of demo sceners, but there's a lot of other people from pretty much all sorts of different computer culture and works of life, really. A mix of people who were interested just making a magazine together about various subjects relating to computer culture in Finnish, for Finnish people, mainly, I think. So it sort of replaced some of the old computer magazines that we had in the 80s, for example, like Microbit, sort of keeping the spirit up in its own way. So I just did a quick advertisement for it because it's nice to have subscribers.
Because it is I mean, for years people have talked about how computer magazines don't talk about the hobby stuff going around computers. They don't have program listings anymore. It's all about like Windows tips, and these guys stop complaining.
We have program listings, and we have 2 big issues now, and we have code in them both. And we did a really nice idea. We printed together some QR codes which encode 256-byte intros in them. So there's a choice of intros for many platforms, mostly PC, but there's other platforms as well.
That's probably the one thing that could actually get me to.
That's a new thing. It's a new thing. It's a new thing. Go check it at the Scrolly stand. You can browse the magazines there. Nobody successfully yet managed to decode the programs for me, and they should be valid. So if you can do it, you'll be the first.
So Frankie, we're going off topic now, although Scrolly is fantastic.
That's our intro.
Yeah.
Let me jump back to your statement.
Describe the compo.
I want to quickly jump back to your statement that we might not have one in the future at Assembly. Yeah. That's completely up to the people making the demos. People have been calling the scene will be dead in 3 years for 20 years.
Sure.
So it's the same, and it's you have good years, you have bad years. I've seen it at other parties, say Breakpoint, Revision, even the bigger parties. You have the old school platform. It's hit or miss. It's a lot and good, or it's with all due respect, the default productions that we have this year, the 2-3 compo fillers, and then one, and then of course one which will jump out.
I agree that is the normal kind of the roller coaster. Indeed. But when was the last time that you remember seeing a really great old school demo compo at Assembly?
I can't remember. For me personally, it was easy because it was PWP's Robotic Liberation at Assembly. That was a great compo. All the demos in that compo were really nice.
You usually have at Assembly, you have PWP, you would have something on the VIC-20, you would have something on Atari, and this year that didn't happen. Yep. And that's your compo maker. That's your compo winner, which for one reason or the other you can't have. Well, rule changing from another background. Nobody will ever be happy with any rule change you make. Yeah. You will all have, but that's a different discussion, which we don't have to do right now.
But the robotic liberation, I mean, that is several years back already. Yep. Yes. And so I can't. And okay, well, let's jump into the rule change thing. Who wants to take this topic? Like the change of the rules now that it's limited to a few platforms, basically. So the old school.
Well, you have to make a choice. It's either you have a lot in old school, or it will move into the wild competition. You will have the same amount of entries, but it's either going to be in Compo 1 or it's going to be in Compo 2. The productions will normally still be there, although that most coders will be. Well, from my point of view, they will prefer going into an old school competition. You will always have purists that say no, you have to change it. People demanding a separate C64 demo compo because it's always has been there. Today you cannot do that. We would have 0 entries. So absolutely no compo. So yes, as an organizational team, you have to merge because you only have X amount of compo slots, and because the scene is highly separated on platforms and also releasing on lots of smaller parties, which have bubbled up left and right, which we all should salute, but at one point in time you only have X amount of demo sceners who have Y amount of releases a year, which have to be spread out amongst Z or Z, depending on your continent, amount of parties. So the more parties, the more releases per party, and then you will have to start shoveling with your competition numbers. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you are.
Thank you.
So the thing here is that if it's splitting up, if we're getting entries into the wild competition, then these are entries which visually could very well compete with the entries that we saw here. I mean, like old school platforms, old platforms. So, I mean, is this really the case? Do you guys agree with this rule change that we only have like old demo scene platforms in this competition?
You go first.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm sorry to compare to revision, but as my expertise that we have the same question. Okay, what's old school? And you have to make a line somewhere, or you make a fixed list of platforms, or you make a separator that you say this is left, this is right. At revision, we use the memory bus bandwidth. Some people are unhappy. Most of them don't really have an issue with it. So you have to pull a line somewhere, and if at assembly it's platform A, B, C, and D, and that's going to be it. That's what we define as old school. Then as a visitor, it is what you have to work towards, which you would have to live with. And if you don't agree, well, yeah, then you can take your productions somewhere else, or try to convince the organizers to do it differently in the next edition.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. So,
Yeah.
like, do you guys agree?
One idea would be maybe to sort of divert it from the concept of old school demo, because before at other parties, old school demo is quite inclusive for all 8 bits and 16 bits as well. So there's not a strict definition if you're not at a C64 party or Amiga party or Atari party where you make a clear distinction between Atari 8 bits or Falcon. So you have the whole scale of hardware performance, graphics, sound mixing capabilities. So it's more limited on the age of the machine than really the kind of the machine. And old school to me always, that's a notion of time. It's some time ago. So difficult to say where to draw the line still.
Let's get Gasman on.
Well, I think in the end, I think you, wherever you put the line between competitions, it's probably not going to affect in the end the choice of demos that actually get made. If people are not going to go, oh, this particular party isn't so good for VIC-21s, therefore I will not make a VIC-20 demo.
Yeah,
I think people are still going to create things at their own pace, and they will always find a good home to be released at. So, I think,
if I may jump into one topic from Visu, it's selecting on age is extremely dangerous.
Yep.
Don't forget that Amiga AGA is 20 years old.
Exactly. So if you keep updating that age limit, then
yes, yeah. But then you say everything before
very,
after that date.
Doesn't work.
But then it was people should because this obscure hardware had this thing Falcon years before the rest.
Exactly. It's difficult to draw the line in any sensible way. So people have just went around it quite randomly.
But then Game Boy would be new school, presumably.
Yeah, something like that. Difficult to think where to draw the line.
Yeah, and every party has its definitions.
I always like myself to think of low-end and high-end competitions.
Indeed, but I'm going to follow Gasman here, is that people just make a production because they like to make it and on the platform that they use, and then they will seek a competition to plug it in. And if it's old school, new school, real wild, listening music, dance music, 90% of people will say whatever.
My first ever entry at Assembly in 2002, that it was a Spectrum demo. It ended up kind of through my own fault, not knowing about which competitions to submit at. It ended up in the Wild Compo, which was then the equivalent of the short film, and I was just absolutely thrilled to have an entry on the big screen at Assembly. So I do kind of,
I remember that quite well.
Yeah, I remember that one as well, and it was good that you got Her Majesty now up on the screen as well this time.
Yes.
Shall we discuss what is likely to be the winner of this competition, which was the last, so the Decadence entry? Any thoughts on that?
It was quite very bright light kind of demo. You can tell that Bright Light and Bracket have designed it, and
So tell us a bit about.
I think the best experience was making fun of Norwegian sceners, sort of contrasting internet memes with Norwegian sceners while making sort of a lighthearted fun at them. I think that worked really well. Like it's just a simple trick, but it works really well because it combines the demo scene, sort of familiar faces from Norwegian parties who are the party animals, contrasting that with internet things everybody knows at Assembly, even the gamers and all the game people here don't understand demos.
Describe what you mean by like the bright light kind of thing. So what are the key elements of a bright light or Decadence demo?
It's always technical, so he always does an effect that's really high resolution, and he pretty much reuses the same effects, but he just makes them better all the time. He just makes them run even more resolution, even better frame rates, have even more sort of more noises going on the soundtrack. He just keeps improving technically, and he does it real well. It's his thing, and it works.
Yeah. I think for a while I was thinking with his demos you sort of saw, well, as I say, this is a gradual sort of progression of technically, but then I think every now and then he does pull something out of the bag. Like
he collaborated with Ghost Town, and that was awesome.
Yeah,
that was really nice.
The 64K from a revision. That was
of course. Really, he likes to do this kind of demos as well. He likes to do this like it's like really juvenile and happy, and he just. Exactly like his personality. That's what he does. He just does demos that look like him.
So you're saying that Bright Light is juvenile?
He's juvenile in a very, very sort of light-hearted, sort of tinkle in the eye kind of way. That he's a boyish man in a good way. He has a sense of children's laughter in his heart.
I'm sure we'll be discussing that in the Magic Land in a bit. So, Frank, any thoughts on this demo?
Let's say on the presumably winner demo, as said, recognizable structure, but it's at the little bit more graphic layer on top, which made it funny with the non-default fonts. I have seen a Puke Twister that was amazing.
Yeah, that was good. I'll give it that. Nice overlay, big maps. Let me sing you the song of my people.
It's in the details.
Yeah.
And of course, well, I would also almost call the signature white flash on the beat white light.
Yep. Works. It's
the stupidest
white
trick
hit.
to do in a demo on the beat. Put a flash screen in it, and it's
it's effective.
Puet votes times 500.
Yep. Works.
Gaspar, do you want to describe a bit about your entry? And I know that this was one of those things that was created in a rush, so to speak.
Yeah, it was exactly the same as Busy's story of Bright Light. Yeah, before even saying hello, it's do you have an entry in the Oldschool compo? And no, but I started thinking, well, I've got this bit of code sort of left over because in my last production I ended up coding a rotozoomer effect that never actually got used as a rotozoomer. So it's adding that, finding some bits of unfinished music, and then it also came into my head that we need an invitation for the UK party Sundown. So I thought, it's a nice opportunity to pull all those strands together.
Yeah. And that was actually quite, a nice effect, like the rotozoomer. I thought it was kind of cool, especially for a spec gig. I mean,
nice music. I like music.
It works.
It works.
Do you want to? This is your chance, because Visy, he talked about Scrolly. Do you want to talk about Sundown now?
Sure. So seeing as the other party that was promoted here, it's on the same weekend. But so yes, if you're not one of the 9 people who gets one of those seats there, then you could definitely do a lot worse than head over to the UK. And it's a really nice party. Obviously, it's. I think the UK scene socially is that everyone knows each other. It's a really good laugh, but it's really nice. It's got a nice identity with it's by the beach, so in the evenings, people all head down and in pitch black, just lit up by a barbecue, a bonfire, and sometimes there's a Nod with his night bacon, cooking on the beach. So it's a nice sort of smaller party, about 100 seats or so, and
I'm definitely going. I had a lot of fun last year. I enjoyed it, so I'll be there again.
Yeah. Was that the Sundown and Sunrise?
Yeah, Sunrise. Yeah. That was 2 years back when Rory, the main organizer, was he's taking a year off.
Yeah, and there was something about fish and chips in the scroll text. I missed that.
Oh yes.
So there's fish and chips.
A very good chip place.
A really nice chippy. Okay,
but it's
a really good one.
The thing is, with the village that the party's in, Budleigh Salterton, it's a very sort of sleepy sort of retirement village.
Yeah. I think grannies and old men.
Yeah, I think on the weekend, I think the average age of the people in Budleigh Salterton halves. Yeah. But it does mean that
it's peaceful.
But the fish and chip shop does get a bit overwhelmed, and so you have to get in the queue early.
Yep.
But
we should invite the grannies over then.
For a demo combo.
Apparently, last year the noise level was a bit excessive, so I think there was a bit of a complaint. So Rory had to sweet talk on the local grannies. So.
But I think we don't have that in Finland. Yeah. We don't have parties like in a place like that. We have retirement communities with demo parties in them. We're supposed to do school parties here, like old elementary schools, where you get the principal coming in. That happened in Lahti in the late 80s. That party ended on Friday, I think, because everybody was drinking inside the school.
Yeah. So, and when were the dates?
It's 6th to 8th of September.
Okay, it'd be really great to visit that. Yeah. I'm sure it'll be a good time. Any final words on the Oldschool platform? Oldschool.
2 demos at least we didn't go
through. Do you want to go through them?
Quickly, I can just comment on the other one. Bright lights, pink balls. There was one technical thing in it. If people didn't see it, but there was, I think, 3 graphic planes. So you had the scroller going behind and on top of the letters. But it was so very light, so you couldn't read it, and you didn't really even see it if you didn't pay attention to the scroller. Yeah. But it was extremely hard on the eyes, just seeing it, what it said.
I noticed the effect there. I couldn't really read the text.
That was the only thing in that was there was that effect.
Yeah.
It's noteworthy.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have much to say about that, to be honest. I've seen one of those, I've seen a million, so.
Then we had an invitation for GRB party. We have some more information about that. I'm totally familiar with it.
I don't, but
Sweden, I think.
Yeah, because it was .se in the URL that I could read, so that's something.
Small party in Sweden. Read more on their website. It said it had the URL in the invitation.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't have any idea about that. Probably nice. The groups, I think I've seen some of their demos. Good stuff. Tractor, I think, was the one. They have done some really nice stuff on MSX, for example. Yeah, I'd recommend it then.
Jesus Christ, motocross.
They did that as well.
What I remember is it's a comeback of the OCS platform. We've seen it over the last 12 months. People are rediscovering the Amiga 500, even the 600.
But I mean, come on, all of this stuff, it wasn't anything that hasn't been done before, though, even on the
Watch
OCS.
Out. No. There are plenty of effects which have come out in the last 12 months that people know. They now know how to do. It's on the C64 is the stuff that happened when cross-platform development happened.
Yeah.
You could see all the Atari VIC-20 C64 demos. They would suddenly go boom like now because people had decent development environments, which is now what you have on the OCSs. And that makes it easier, and there are no tricks, and they can be translated towards the open memory map structure. I can twiddle and fake whatever I want. People are rediscovering that, which is good.
Well, that is true. I don't think we saw it here so much.
No, we didn't.
Yeah,
agreed.
Not here, but it happens.
It happens.
So there's a reason for Oldschool demo compost.
So there is going to be a further explosion of interesting new old school stuff.
It's kind of riding on the retro is cool thing that's going on right now in society. So yes,
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a place because of that. All video games, music, chip music especially, it'll always have a place. It just won't go away because it's the visual component, the sort of companion to that stuff anyway. It just sort of fits into that whole artistic style very well.
Yeah,
So there's no reason for it to ever go away.
Retro is cool. It's hipsterville. I mean, this is what all the hipsters want.
really
We shouldn't. The party Sundown shouldn't be organised in wherever it was. It should be organised in Shoreditch, in London, with all the hipsters. I mean, that would be the perfect setting.
If somebody has the connections, I would really like to see a London party. It's never happened, I think. There's never been a big party in London.
I have a few contacts that could possibly make that happen.
It would be
of course,
awesome.
yeah, Shoreditch has all
really
the
should do that.
hackspace stuff happening, so it's,
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need to. Okay, so it's our job to sort of spread the word into those hacker subcultures then.
Let's
I
do
always
it.
thought that should be a thing that should be done.
Let's do
Definitely.
it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So,
It's not entirely.
so ladies and gentlemen, I don't know which camera we're looking
Yeah.
at, but we are now forming a new demo party as we speak.
Yeah, let's do
So what do we have a name for it?
Amiga.
No.
What?
every platform, if somebody like that is done,
Of course, yes.
you get everything.
Hipster.
What sounds hipster?
Hipsters. No. Just call it Hipster 2014.
Oh, that's terrible.
I know it is.
That is
Horrifying.
terrible. That is
Yes,
terrible.
it is mind-bogglingly.
No, I
don't know.
know what we call it. We call it vinyl analog. It's got everything that you need. It's like
That's so deep you can feel the groove.
Yeah, that is going to cause some horrible
I like it.
misunderstandings.
so. Final
We have to
words.
think about this.
Final words. Let's wrap this up. Final words.
Better entries, more platforms.
You want better entries and more platforms.
Yes.
Yep.
Sadly, a year on the downscale, it can only improve.
Okay.
Okay. It's even if Old School isn't so hot as Assembly, it'll still be around forever. And greetings to Velo.
All right. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.